September Shift Challenge. I'm going to be walking you through all the way through September. Multiple books have been written, which by the way, I will have a Google form linked in the description. If you have used my system with the planner or with the videos to accomplish some big goal, I would really like to know what that is. But just off the top of my head, multiple books have been written, multiple albums have been made, trips around the world. People have used this to plan biking trips across the country. People have used this to buy their dream home, to start a blog. This has been used to chunk out to make a cookbook. It's been used to start an art business. It's been used to grow YouTube channels to, I think the biggest one I've heard of is over 12,000 subscribers. So welcome to the club. And this is what we're gonna help you chunk out today. And what we're chunking out today are what I'm calling sticky goals. These are goals that will not seem to leave you alone. Maybe you start on it and then you put it down for a couple years and it's still there, writing this book or whatever it is. You know, you put it down and it's still there. And those are sticky goals. And for September, I want this to be the shift where we're actually moving into doing those things. If you're in the Northern Hemisphere, we're coming out of summer, it's ready to lock in, we're in the last 4 months of the year, and I want to really finish strong. And I want to really make some ground on those sticky goals. Okay, so I want you to grab a notebook and a pen or fill this out in some Google Doc or something like that. I think it'll be more beneficial if you actually write it down and think it through. But I'm going to pan back and forth where I did this exercise with my husband so you can kind of see examples of how this works. The first question for the September shift, because right now we're kind of like outlining how you're going to take monumental strides in September. The first question is, what do you want to have accomplished just by the end of this session? Not by the end of the month, like not your month goal, but just what do you want to have? So you might say by the end of the session, I want to have a plan that I feel like I can stick to. It doesn't feel overwhelming. I want to feel motivated. I want to feel like I can do it. Maybe I want to have some self-belief. So I want you to think about, what do you want to have accomplished by the end of this session? And you go ahead and pause and write that down in your notebook. Okay, what is your goal by the end of this session?
Oh, let's start with big questions, are we?
Mm-hmm. So what do you want to have accomplished by the end of this session?
Okay, make a YouTube plan that I may or may not follow.
Okay, so if you want to have a plan in place, for example, the second question are, what are the qualities of that plan? Like, how will you know that it's been sufficient enough, that we've actually accomplished that today? So maybe if your result is you want to have a plan by the end of today, you'll know that we've accomplished that if the plan sounds fun, the plan doesn't sound overwhelming, maybe it sounds doable, like you can actually stick with it. So for you, I want you to think about, what are the adjectives of this noun? First, we kind of outlined the noun, what we want the result to be. Now, what are the adjectives, the qualities of that result? What do you want the qualities of the plan to be? Like, easy enough, not too much work. Like, what are some qualities of a good YouTube plan?
I want to be workable with my schedule.
Okay.
Not overwhelming.
Okay.
Impactful. Revenue growing.
Financially impactful?
Yeah.
Okay, now let's think about the what. The result by the end of the month. What are we actually outlining here today? If you want to have a plan by the end of today, maybe you want to start writing the book. Maybe you want to do the album. You want to make a course. Maybe you want to have a plan for the cookbook. Like, what is the actual thing? What is the sticky goal? This third thing right here, what is the sticky goal that does not go away? The thing that you feel like, to some extent, you specifically were made to do it. The thing that has monumental importance. When you think about back at the end of your life, you're like, you know what? I wish I would have got around to doing it. Why did I hem-ha? Why did I let insecurity stop me from doing this thing? I said I wanted to do it 2 years ago. I kind of put it off. I still want to do it now, and it's not going to go away. So this thing that's been nudging me, this thing that's sticky, the goal that cannot seem to go away, that's uniquely designed for me, that feels exciting, and it also feels scary. Maybe it feels like a lot of pressure because it's like, this thing is so important and so big, I really care about it. What is that thing? And what we're going to do today is kind of a paradox. One, it's monumentally important that if you have this sticky goal, this thing that you were meant to do, it's monumentally important that you do it. And also paradoxically, the work that you do this month doesn't matter at all. It takes the pressure off. I don't know how to explain this more. When I think back to the individual videos that I made, most of the individual videos are incredibly unimportant, but it's them all strung together that changes me from the inside that's incredibly important. And so what I don't want us to do is think this thing is so important, oh my gosh, like, and just get paralyzed by the importance of it, the significance of it, because it's not significant at all. The actual work you do this month, I don't know if this, I'm trying to make this sound encouraging and not like, oh, it doesn't matter at all. But the stuff that you do this month, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's crap. I have hundreds of videos that are just crap, and it absolutely does not matter. The work that you do, I once kind of did this exercise where I was having a conversation with my future self, and I asked my future self, because I was kind of on a YouTube pause, I wasn't doing anything, and I kind of asked my future self, like, what advice would you give me? And they were like, you need to just start. And they were like, it's monumentally important that you start, and it's absolutely insignificant what the work actually is. Because those videos that I ended up making, who knows what I don't remember them at all. They were completely inconsequential. But very shortly after, I made the first iteration of the vision book, which became the intentional planner, and the potential planner, which completely changed my life. So it's all about just the journey and how it changes you. So now what I want us to think about as kind of a sub question here is kind of the how and how many. So this goal for the month, that is a noun. So it might be, I want to have 3 chapters that are written. The 3 chapters, that's the noun. So the question is, how are you going to do that? What's the verb? So in the case of a book, that would be writing the book. In the case of filming YouTube videos, there's several verbs in there. It's like, well, you write the script and you do the video filming and then you do the editing. But then the question is, how many do you want to do? By the end of the month, do you want to have 4 videos done? Do you want to have 8 videos done? Like, I want to actually get quantifiable here. And so I want you to fill in. You should have some number with a noun. Number with a noun. So you should have some result by the end of this month. 3 chapters written. 4 videos done. We're talking about a result. What we're going to do now, because we don't want to just set goals, we also want to create a system for it and a process, but we need the end result that's a noun first. And I don't want it to be a time thing that's like, I want to paint for 3 hours. I want it to be an actual result. That's like, I want 3 paintings done or 1 painting done. Something that you can hold in your hands if it's a physical product, or, you know, digitally something you can look at, but an actual result. It could also be like a learning objective. Like, I learned how to change a tire, but we need some sort of result. Okay, so you want a course made, and then you want vids on piano specific song tutorials. Do you want to do, which one do you want to do first?
Of course.
You want to do the course first. Okay, now what we're going to do is part of through the time funnel is then we're going to chunk that. We have our monthly result. We're going to chunk that into 4 weekly results, because there are 4 weeks in September. If you're watching this in the future, you can just still do this with 4. So if you want to have 4 chapters written, for example, then maybe you chunk that as 1 per week. Or if you want to have 4 YouTube videos filmed, you can just do 1 per week. Now, I recommend that you don't set a huge goal. I'm all about setting systems that you can reliably follow through on. And if you cannot follow through on your system when you're feeling unmotivated, then the system doesn't work. So we want to remove all friction, all unnecessary benchmarks. We want to not get so obsessed with the quality of things. We want to just focus on getting the work done. The actual work we make is inconsequential, but the fact that we got started is of monumental importance. So again, I want these to be numbers with nouns. So at the end of each week, you have a result. 1 chapter written, for example. So at the end of each of these weeks, we need to have a result. Now, in the potential planner, there's a column for results where you can mark these if you have the potential planner.
Video.
1 video per week. So for the course, that'd be like 1 lesson per week?
Yeah.
Okay, so result you want is 1 video per week. Next question is, how much time do you have to allot to this per week? And I want you to be realistic. Sometimes in a lot of the people that I've coached, during the planning session, people are incredibly, like, overly optimistic with what they can accomplish. So I would rather you be a little pessimistic during this session and exceed your goals and feel like you're making momentum throughout the week, as opposed to being overly optimistic right now. So I actually want you to take kind of a pessimistic lens right now and think, okay, like, what's the bare minimum of time that I'll actually allot to this? You know, I like scrolling on social media. I like doing all this stuff. I'm not going to completely get rid of all that stuff I don't like, but how much time do I have? Something that I recommend people eventually get to, and you don't have to be there right now, especially if you're just starting out and you got a full-time job, but it is the 5 to Strive system, which is basically 1 hour a day on weekdays, so 5 hours a day of deep work, focused on this sticky goal that's incredibly meaningful. How much time, I think my original question, how much time do you have to allot to this at most?
3 to 5 hours per week.
Okay, so let's think, when could that time be? If you've got it, let's say you decided, okay, I've got an hour a day to allot to this. Do you want to do 7 p.m.? Do you want to do 6 a.m.? Do you want to do 3 p.m.? I mean, do you want to do midnight? I mean, the time does not matter, especially for this first week, because what I want you to see this is as an experiment. This is not a plan that you are married to, that you are going to stick with for the rest of your life, and it needs to be perfect. This is a plan for this week that we're going to just call an experiment. So this is week 1, it's an experiment. So just pick any old time that plops into your head, and we're just going to try it out for this week. And it might not work, there might be things about it that you don't like, but just in 30 seconds or less, just pick a time that you're going to stick to for this week, and we can reevaluate. And at this point, it's very normal for people to be feeling a little bit overwhelmed. Once you actually start putting a time to it and putting it on the calendar, it starts seeming real, and you realize what sacrifices you might have to make, and you think, oh, this is going to be a lot. And the point right here, we're getting to the end of the exercise, and this is the maximum, we're getting to the point of maximum overwhelm. Once you actually sit down and you try it for a couple days and you get in a rhythm, and we will continue throughout this challenge, throughout this month, experimenting and tweaking different things. So it's completely normal if you feel a little overwhelmed, or you feel like, I don't know if I can do this. This seems like a lot. This is why I haven't been doing it in the first place. But you can do it. Just try it out for this week. And if things don't go well, we're going to reevaluate next week. So we're just going to experiment. When do you think you'll work on this?
I could probably film Saturday morning and do everything else during the week. Before school. Work.
Before work. So from like 6 to 7 p.m.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go.
So now we're going to break that into daily pieces. And let's say you just want to do weekdays, which I recommend giving yourself a break. I don't recommend going all in 7 days a week. Let's say you got 5 days you're working on this for 5 to Strive. If you have your result that you want to have 1 chapter written, we're going to split that into 5 benchmarks. And again, these need to be results. These need to be nouns, not verbs. So we're not going to say, oh, I'm just going to sit down and write for an hour and call it good. Because when you don't give yourself a result that you need, perfectionism can kick in, and you can just edit and edit, edit. And then all of a sudden you've spent 5 full days drafting and editing, and you're not even close to the result that you want to be at, because you get hung up in the perfectionism and in the process. So we're not going to say, okay, I'm just going to write for an hour and we'll see what happens. No. There needs to be some result. So for example, in the case of writing, this could be a word count result, like I want to be at 500 words. This could be, in the case of YouTube videos, this could be video outlined, video filmed, video edited, video final edited, thumbnail made and posted. So these need to be nouns, very concrete, splitting it up. And sometimes I like to go backward. I like the phrase forward thinkers or backward planners. So which is what we're doing. We're beginning with the end in mind. We want to have 1 chapter written, let's say. And we're going backward, and we're going to have results on each of these days. Now, I always have to clarify that we're picking a sticky goal. So if you picked a goal at the beginning that's like, I want to drink more water, this whole process becomes so unnecessary because it's not big. There's no need to project plan it. It's like we have a habit, we stick with it. But when there's a big goal, it's a sticky goal, that the reason you haven't gotten around to it is because it's a big project. It's more like climbing Mount Everest, where you need to say, okay, I want to be at the top of this in X days. I need to get to this checkpoint by the end of this day. I need to get to this checkpoint by the end of this day. And when it's a big goal, you need a series of benchmarks where you need to be so that you know that you're on track, because it's so big and you need to feel a sense of progress. Otherwise, if it's just like, oh, I'll start hiking and I get to where I get to. You really want to have a goal in mind. So you're going to break it into your daily pieces, and you at once need to have a result that you're going to hit, like I will have a video filmed by the end of this day. And you need to have a time constraint, because otherwise you can just edit and edit and edit for hours and hours and hours, and that's a good way to burn yourself out. If you get trapped up in this perfectionism, there has to be a way to understand we need to decrease our opinion of the quality in order to get to the quantity. Because when I think back about some of my first videos, I slaved over them and I poured over them and I was like, okay, great, this is a 10 out of 10. Now I go back and look at them and they're a 2 out of 10. And I wish I wouldn't have spent so much time pouring over them, because in the end, in the future, the quality just still seems like a 2 out of 10, and I wish I would have just got in more reps quicker. You get more feedback, you get more information, you learn more, you learn how to not obsess over quality and to get stuck in a perfectionistic loop. You have a result, you have a time constraint, and you get it done by that time constraint because you don't want to get behind schedule and you don't want to get caught in perfectionism. So you say my result is, I want to write 500 words today, or whatever it is, and I'm going to stop. Either when I get to that word count, or if it's been an hour and I need to get that result by that time. And we'll reevaluate to see if these goals are unrealistic next week. Okay, let's talk about the video making process. How do you like to split it up? Like what could you do in 1 hour, and then what's another chunk? Like break it up into hour chunks or less, because you want to work on it like an hour or less per day. Outline.
Script.
In one session.
No, that'd be two different sessions.
Okay.
Film. Edit. Post. Thumbnail. Description.
So this is 5 hours a week. How do you feel about that? One of these would be a Saturday.
I don't know that I can edit in an hour. I think it would take me 2 sessions.
Okay. Well, your options are cut the quality down and then you don't have to work so many sessions in a week, or keep your standards how you have them, but you'll have to work more sessions than you wanted. So it just depends on whichever is more important to you. You wanted 3 to 5 hours a week. This is 6 hour-long sessions.
That's okay.
That's okay with you to do 6 hours a week?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So filming you want to do on Saturdays?
Yeah.
So, okay, if you want to do this on Saturday, then we just build around that. So this is Friday? Because this is sequential?
Yeah.
So this is like Friday, Thursday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So the first time you start, you'll start on a Thursday. Does this feel workable with your schedule? Now the final thing is I want you to have some guiding principle for yourself. Or I might call it a rule, or if you don't like that term, we'll just call it a guiding principle. So you can make up whatever the guiding principle is for you, but one rule for the week. So for me, it's something like, I'm going to do my deep work before I do anything for dopamine, like social media, for example. And that ensures that I get it done. For some people, the guiding principle might be, I'm just going to think about quantity. And over time, when I get enough reps with quantity, then I can worry about quality later. For someone else, another guiding principle might be, I'm just going to do the work. And I'm not going to do any evaluating, critiquing, judging. I'm just going to get the work out there. And that's what's most important. So whatever you think would be most beneficial for you, I want you to just pick one guiding principle, one rule for how you're going to go about this week. And as you go with this week, I want you to just think of it as an experiment. It's not perfect. I'll see you back here in a couple days just to talk about different things, because after coaching several people through this process, I did see several patterns about how people start and then something doesn't work, and there's some common things that I started noticing. So I'll see you back here in a couple days for some more guiding principles. I'll see you back here next week for some more weekly planning type things, reevaluating our plan for the week. Yeah, let me know what your September shift is. I'm very interested. I do have coaching sessions linked in the description. You can click on that if you want. I sell the potential planner, the potential journal, so you can click on that. Eventually, in the future, I will link the rest of this September shift playlist in the description. So if you're watching in the future, that will be available. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.